The Karnataka High Court has just ordered all bike taxi services to shut down. Platforms like Rapido, Ola, and Uber now have 6 weeks to stop operations across the state. And unless new rules are put in place, bike taxis won't be coming back anytime soon. Welcome to our weekly Indian startup news show here at Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb Friesen, your host, and today let's understand what's behind this sudden ban of bike taxis in Karnataka. So the High Court said that without proper government regulations, bike taxis can't operate legally. Right now, there's no framework under the Motor Vehicles Act that allows motorcycles to be used as commercial transport, which means that the transport department can't issue permits or even register bikes for business use. And until that changes, these services are technically illegal. Now, let's talk about the impact here because it's massive. Rapido, which started right in Bengaluru, is now India's largest bike taxi platform. In Karnataka alone, they have around 10 lakh riders working either full-time or part-time. That's 10 lakh people who could now be out of work. Rapido has said that they're reviewing the court's decision and might consider legal options once they receive the full order. But it's not just the riders being affected here. This decision will also hit daily commuters. Bengaluru already has poor last mile connectivity, and just recently, metro fares went up by over 70%, while bus fares increased by 15%. Bike taxis helped to fill the gap here. They were quick, affordable, and easy to access, and for a lot of people, they were the only reliable option. On the other hand, though, auto and taxi driver unions are welcoming the court's decision. Of course, they've been pushing for this ban for a while, arguing that bike taxis were operating without proper licenses and hurting their earnings. And the state government has been given 3 months to draft fresh guidelines. But until those come through, all bike taxi operations have to stop. All right, next up in the news, according to a report, Zomato has laid off around 500 employees from its customer service team. It's worth noting that Zomato has not issued a public comment on the layoffs so far, so do take all of this info with a grain of salt. But the affected employees here were part of the Zomato Associate Accelerator Program, or ZAAP, a training initiative launched last year to scale customer support. But with the rollout of Zomato's AI-powered support platform Nugget, the company says that many of those roles are no longer needed. And according to the company, Nugget now handles over 15 million queries each month across Zomato, Blinkit, and Hyperpure. It resolves up to 80% of customer issues without human help, but former employees are calling the layoffs sudden and unfair. Many say that they were forced to resign without notice or formal explanation, and some were fired over minor issues like being a couple of minutes late or based on vague performance metrics. Others were told their Slack accounts would be deactivated and were offered 2 months' salary to leave quietly. One former employee said, "When I was fired, I was asked to leave with a smile so that other employees wouldn't be disturbed." All right, next up in the news, Ola Electric has fallen behind Bajaj and TVS in terms of electric scooter sales in March. According to the government data from the Vahan portal, Ola registered 23,430 units, which is up significantly from 8,600 in February, but Bajaj led the pack with nearly 35,000 registrations, followed by TVS with over 30,000. In terms of market share for March, Bajaj stood at nearly 27%, TVS held over 23%, while Ola dropped to under 18%. That being said, though, Ola Electric still claimed the top spot for the full fiscal year. In FY25, the company registered 3.44 lakh electric scooters, securing a 30% market share. But what went wrong for Ola in March? Well, according to the company, its transition to in-house vehicle registrations disrupted February's numbers and created a backlog that extended into March. Ola says it's clearing this backlog now and expects to complete the remaining registrations by April. But while Ola Electric is dealing with delays, its competitors are moving ahead. Bajaj's Chetak lineup and TVS's expanded iQube range, supported by their wide dealership networks, help them to move past Ola Electric. All right, next up in the news, OB Cocktails has officially shut down after operating for more than 5 years in the alcoholic beverage business. This Bengaluru-based startup, known for its ready-to-drink cocktails, announced the closure in a LinkedIn post by founder and CEO Nitesh Prakash. Nitesh called the decision one of the hardest he's ever made, but said that the core issue came down to the nature of the industry. According to him, the alco-bev space is less about consumer loyalty and more about commoditization, something that didn't align with the brand's long-term vision of offering premium, convenient cocktail experiences. And over the past year, the team tried to find a buyer for the business, hoping to keep the brand alive, but after exhausting all options, they've decided to close shop. And at its peak, OB Cocktails was operational in 9 Indian states and Bhutan, and it had a distribution distribution network of over 1,700 premium wine outlets, supported by 22 private distributors and 2 government contracts. Their cocktails were particularly popular in Goa and Bengaluru, where the brand claimed that its blends had been perfected through over 100 iterations. But despite everything, OB Cocktails only managed to scale their revenues to 4.32 crore rupees in FY24 while still losing 3.37 crore rupees, making their growth unsustainable. All right, next up in the news, remember Hood from Shark Tank India Season 2, the startup that came in asking for a 600 crore rupee valuation? It started as a pseudo-anonymous social network, kind of like Reddit, where users could post and engage anonymously, and the idea was to encourage honest conversations without revealing real identities. It raised over 3 crore rupees, had more than 1 million users, and was backed by big names like Kunal Shah, Ashnir Grover, and Ritesh Agarwal. But despite the buzz, the team has now pivoted, and Hood is no longer a social network. It's now Not Dating, an AI-powered matchmaking platform aimed at working professionals looking for serious relationships. The platform uses conversational AI and behavioral insights to assess how people think and communicate, not just what they type in their bio, and there's also human-assisted matchmaking to add context and judgment where AI falls short. Right now, it's invite only, but a public launch is expected soon. All right, next up in the news, Flipkart co-founder Binny Bansal has committed 70 crore rupees to set up a new tech institute at Lakshya University in Mohali. And it's called the Binny Bansal Institute for Inventing the Future, and it'll focus on AI, blockchain, and robotics to build real-world solutions in healthcare, energy, agriculture, and sustainability. The institute will also collaborate with UC Berkeley's AI lab on research, education, and talent development, and Binny said that the goal here is to equip the next generation with the tools to solve global challenges using frontier tech. But this isn't the first time that Lakshya is doing something like this. Last year, they partnered with InfoEdge to launch the InfoEdge Center for Entrepreneurship to foster mentorship, incubation, and resources for students. All right, now let's move over to the funding news segment for today's video. This week, Indian startups raised a total of $336 million, which is significantly higher than last week's $72 million, and it's also above the trend line. So let's take a look at some of the companies that raised funds this week. The first one I want to talk about here is Gurugram-based used car marketplace Spinny, and they've raised $131 million. Following that, we have Bengaluru-based fintech startup Smallcase, which simplifies stock market investing by offering you ready-made portfolios called small cases. And each small case is basically a curated basket of stocks or exchange-traded funds, that's ETFs, that represent a specific theme, idea, or strategy. And they've raised $50 million in their Series D round. After that, we have Pratalipi, a friend of the show. This is a company that I actually sat down with the founder of way back in 2019, so I'm pretty sure the journey has evolved significantly since then. And these guys are a self-publishing platform that connects readers and writers, allowing them to share and discover stories, poems, articles, and even audiobooks in 12 different Indian languages, and they've raised $20 million in their Series E round. Congratulations, guys. Next up, we have Delhi-based Koparo, which is creating plant-based, non-toxic cleaning products for homes, and they raised $1.7 million in their pre-Series A round. Following that, we have content-to-commerce platform Layla, a company that helps Instagram creators earn money through affiliate marketing. Creators can generate affiliate links for products, share them with their audience, and then earn a commission on every sale made through those links. And then finally, we have Chennai-based molecular diagnostic company Tvestar Genkelp, which is developing a non-invasive early cancer detection solution. Their flagship offering is called EpiScreen Liver, which is a blood test that helps detect liver cancer early with higher accuracy compared to traditional tests. And they've raised $1.25 million in their pre-Series A round. All right, that is all the Indian startup news that I have for you all this week. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. I'm Caleb Friesen, and this has been Backstage with Millionaires. I'll catch you in the next one.